Now that we know just a little bit about data binding, let's talk about how we can get some of our data from our art data TypeScript file. So what we're going to do is we have this art listings page, and inside of the art listings page is where we're going to list our art. So let's go ahead and just open up the HTML file, which for now doesn't have much of anything. And then let's open up our art listings component.typescript TypeScript file, excuse me, which we did a little bit of fun little art stuff. So I'm just going to delete this out for a second. And I also want to remove this method. That's what the error is coming from. And I'm just going to hit Control S to save that. Uh, Now, the art listings component is also having some errors, notice here, because we don't necessarily have that. So let's save that and let's remove this little curly brace here. And thank you for looking at my art. Let's save that. We're going to change that in a little bit. Now, um, within these two pages, we're going to start looking at like, well, how do we get in the data from this art data.typescript file? Now, remember, if we go into our art data file here, right? We have two pieces here, and this art listing here is an actual um, array of two elements right now. It has two things that's holding it. It has a 0, 1 and a 0, 2, Happy Planet and Leo versus Robots. So if we go back into our component here, let's start by where we had put that first variable. Let's go ahead and just define a variable of type array that will store the listings from our art listings. So if you remember before, I'm going to go ahead and name this art listing. I'm going to put a colon there. And we're gonna have to tweak this a little bit. And then I'm gonna hit Control V and then just paste that art listing there. And I'm gonna put an S here so that it differentiates it from the actual art listing that we're pulling from our art data. And we're just gonna say that this is this of this type array and it equals this. So I'm gonna put a semicolon there. Now remember, the reason one of the things is if we hit this, it says cannot find name art listing. So you might be like, well, where's art listing? And the reason for that is because we need to import in art listing from our art data file. So if we go here and I'm just gonna hit Alt and Shift and let's gut all this. So I'm gonna import in art listing. So let's just copy this. So I'm importing in the art listing here. And where we're gonna import it in from is I'm gonna do dot dot forward slash. And I'm just going to start typing in art and then from art listings. Now, actually not art listings, I'm sorry, oops, I'm in rare form today, let's see, art data. We're bringing it in from our TypeScript file. And in here, you could see inside of our art data file, we have art listings, and I wrote art listings, so it should be art listings. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now you'll see we're importing art listings from art data. So I'm going to actually make this lowercase, and I'm just going to grab this and just drop it in here. And I could, in essence, do this, like art listing of type. Here, let's save this for a second. Let's see, what are we? Oh, another thing that we're missing is actually let's go ahead and import in our actual, if we go to our types here, we actually need to get art listing here. So I'm going to copy that. And we're going to grab art listing from our types file. So dot dot forward slash types. And I'm going to re-explain this in a second. So, so this is the interface that defines this. So we need to bring that type in so we can use it. Now we're going to have to change this. So I'm just going to make this listings. And it's going to be of type, the interface type here, which is art listing. So I need to change that to art listing, and that should get rid of our issue here. Now, the reason I'm bringing this in is because we're actually going to grab the art listings from our our art data type, which is this art listings. We're going to grab these and we're going to load them into this listings variable. And actually, we could just name this A listings. So that's probably a little bit better. So A listings. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say this dot A listings is equal to. Now, remember, it's called art listings here. So what we're doing is I'm making it equal to this, which is being brought in here from our art data. So if I do this and I hit semicolon, you'll see I don't get an error. So I'm loading my art listings into this, but we're not actually going through each element within this, right? We want to loop through these specific elements.